What is the biggest challenge today for communicators and for communications as a whole?
It is the mixture of having to master both a vast array of data and analytics into insights, but also into keeping a very grounded human understanding of what it is that make people either come with you or fight against you. And I don't think that has changed. I think today to understand the fragmentation of channels, the fragmentation of messaging, to understand the speed at which things change, you just have to be comfortable with the fact that you're not at all in control. You can only start a conversation and continue it. So for managers, for leaders in especially large corporations, but I think in any big organization, the challenge is to be comfortable with the notion that you have to let go in order to seize the initiative. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. That sounds very easy, but as we know, corporates are very concerned about their brand and they don't like to lose control. How do they get comfortable with that?
Well, they have to get comfortable with the fact that they aren't in control. I mean, what they can control is their behavior. And if they focus on behaving the way that people want them to behave, the brand and reputation will follow. I mean, I hate the notion of reputation management, because reputation is an outcome. You never have anybody saying we do profit management. Profit is an outcome. And like reputation, profit is an outcome of good performance, good communications, and good behavior. So I think it is incredibly difficult for anyone in a large organization to get out of the notion that even though they may be an executive vice president, they're actually not in charge. The people they talk to are in charge. And how do I become humble and clear enough to act on that?
Just to go back to the data point that you made right at the start, how is data changing our communications?
I think very often it gets in the way, but you have to have it in order to be able to act on it. And the best example I've heard recently is MasterCard. They have something called a conversation suite as the center point of their central communications function. And Conversation Suite basically captures all the social chatter around them in real time on a huge screen. So they can either intervene and continue a conversation, or they can intervene and start a conversation, or they can go back and analyze and try to change behavior. But what they've done is they've moved, instead of having teams of people going back and analyzing, coming back with reports, they've moved the data interpretation into real time. Because that's the hard thing, because otherwise it will bottle up and you will have just too much and you can't act on it.
And do you think there are any other good case studies or examples of companies, corporates, organisations that have got the hang of the communications today?
Yes. Actually, I like what GE did when they were in trouble about 7 or 8 years ago, when they started GE Reports, which was their way of getting their own story out in an environment which they control. And that was when they were being, they were being accused of all sorts of things about 5 or 6, 7 years ago. So, and then that has evolved to this thing called the Ideas Lab and a few other things they're doing. So it's a very good way of using storytelling, and sometimes independent and sometimes their own storytelling, to kind of advance a discussion at depth about the very complex business that they're in.
Thanks ever so much for your time.
All right.